Well, it's a battle out there, and as they say, you're as good as your last serving. So it's time now for us to introduce you to our 4 young F&B startups, and they get into a conversation with Sanjay Mehthani. There's going to be plenty of food for thought. Welcome to Chaipatty, a warm and friendly neighborhood tea cafe known for the best chai, pakodas and Maggi in town. Chaipatty is currently present in 4 locations in Bangalore. Founded in 2010 by 29-year-old Chirag, Chaipatty clocked revenues of 48 lakh rupees last year, and Chirag hopes to take his cafe outlets to 50 very soon. Well, 4 young, exciting businesses. It's time now to go across to Sunanda Jaitseelan in Bangalore as she kickstarts a masterclass at the Hard Rock Cafe.
Sanjay, thank you very much for joining us today. I want to first start by, I've read reports which say that the F&B industry in India at the moment is about 2.25 lakh crores and counting, and expected to double by 2020. In this space, how does one who's starting out really sort of find his USP or find the concept, so to speak?
Very broad question. There's so many concepts out there, and obviously we're sitting with 4 such guys who've got completely 4 different concepts out here. From my point of view, you really have to have something in your mind. Either you got to be passionate, or you have a business plan which you've studied something, you've seen something you want to do, traveled abroad, or felt that, hey, I like this concept, I think it could work in India. Some base idea. You have to be able to start off with some base idea, and obviously work it up from there. Technically, I think you've got to really believe in the concept. You have to analyze it in the market. You have to see what competitors are there in the market for you, the pros and cons. I mean, what's your TG? I mean, who's your target? Where would it work? How would it work? And what's the cost to it? I mean, there's a budget to everything, so you have to figure out if it's if you can budget for that concept over here.
So precisely, which is what I was also coming to. How does one choose that?
I didn't choose it. I mean, honestly, I didn't choose it. This space was something which many people think I was born into it. I mean, my family, I came from a hardcore business family, but my parents, my uncle, my family, they loved food. And anywhere they'd go to new restaurants, they'd be invited to try the food before the restaurant launched or before they hired the chef. So I think I was thrown into it. I'm kind of an insomniac. I don't sleep much. I used to DJ professionally when I was younger. I love to cook. I can make pretty much any drink behind the bar. So, what else could I do? I was kind of driven into it.
So has being an insomniac worked for any of you?
Chaipatty was conceptualized over a peg of Old Monk. Remember which peg, but yeah. Pretty much
down many of the pegs, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you started, was it a gut feeling, or did you do a market analysis?
When we first took this brand, it was a 50-50 on the results. I just love being who I am in this place. It's not like a lot of other places you go to. So I felt India really needed that.
Talking about ambience, how much of impetus do you put towards selecting the right ambience? Because I see you picking very key locations. Okay, it's also from the perspective of logistically reaching that point, but then again, the place itself creates an environment for your kind of concept.
It's very important for me to find the right property, and of course, sometimes you find the most amazing properties, but they're not in the most key locations. Yeah. So that takes a lot of analysis. The first Hard Rock in Bombay, we were looking in South Bombay, then we were looking in North Bombay. We ended up in Central Bombay. It took us a year and a half to find the property. So location is very important. I mean, there is no doubt. Ambience for me is very important.
Indians will still look at affordability first, experience later. I see that mentality changing a little over the last half a year or so. But still, affordability is the first question. Means I can say I sell the best chai, Maggi, Pakodas, but then people say I can make Maggi at $10 at home. Pakodas is something my wife or my mom would make much better.
I think that would depend on which area you're in. Like if you're in like a college area, you'll have that kind of people. But if you're...
It's the same question everywhere. No, I can understand the whole concept of this being mass audience and this being niche audience.
Yeah, you got to remember, it's not only about the product that they're going to eat. I mean, for me, the product is not just the food you're delivering or the tea or whatever it is. It's about the whole experience.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
From the time you step in to the, to the ambience, to the service, to them how relaxed they can feel. I mean, as I said, it's the temperature in there, the music. It's just, if they can walk away once with a good experience and feel it's value for money, then it doesn't really matter if you price a few rupees more here or not.
Right.
I agree on that, but like our concept, both of ours, is like a pay up front or a pay right there. It's a QSR or it's like you pay and go sit. So you've not really tested the environment. You've come there and you've been surprised with the menu pricing there, and it looks like a small place. I'm sitting on the floor. Maggi, that price, so it's like you've not really gone inside the place to get the warmth or the feel of the place. I agree that it's just a 5-minute confusion. It goes off and we do get our regulars in place.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's something where, people are going to have to, once they walk in and see people sitting there, that's already a drive.
Yeah, when it's packed, there is no need. They'll just say, can I get a space as soon as possible?
Exactly.
No questions asked. But when it's empty, what's this? What's that?
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, there are always going to be questions. People have always got curiosity. So, you need somebody to be able to guide them when they enter. Yeah, perhaps don't charge them before they enter. Let them sit down and experience it, and then give them a bill.
See, today, most of the youngsters and all, whenever they hear of a new place or even an established place, they want to research it over the internet or using their mobile phone. But the internet actually, makes it's like a distribution mechanism of all possible information out there. How do you really maintain your exclusivity on the internet as a restaurant?
The only way you can do that is by day-to-day good marketing. You have to market. It's not only on the ground marketing. You got social media is very, very critical today. Having a good PR agency in place is very important.
I mean, as a startup, having a PR agency wouldn't be an overhead for us.
It would be expensive, right?
It is expensive, but they do add value. And you don't need to take a PR agency for a long term either. I mean, if you're a startup, you need PR.
And in terms of funding, like how do you suggest we go about it? Or like what do you think is the best way to...
Everyone has, different view on this. Mm-hmm. Personally, I mean, we try to do as much as we could inside, within our company.
Okay.
And that's how we grew. We took a while. We waited. We did the first, 2 outlets, and then we waited a good 1.5 years before we did the next.
Okay.
And then we kept on multiplying.
Okay.
And now we're growing at a pretty fast pace. But we had the patience for that. Mm-hmm. And if you have the patience for that, that's the right way, because you will multiply a lot faster, and then investors will notice you and come to you. I mean, it's never an easy process, to be honest with you. It only gets easier when your brand gets the recognition,
right,
and people see that they're earning enough and that the quality of life with your brand is good.
Ab Huana India on. Buy now and get free insurance plus exchange or loyalty benefits. Hurry! Hyundai.
The 12th, 16th, 21st and
हर लैपटॉप Lenovo जितना फास्ट नहीं होता.
Loading, sir,
Lenovo U310 Ultrabook, inspired by Intel, powered by Intel Core i5 processor.
Sweet and flowery, with a hint of spice from Guatemala with love.
Brew Exotica's search for the next coffee is on. To support Rico's Coffee, just Facebook What's Brewing.
Building the capacity is very important. Unless we build that kind of a capacity, I don't think any amount of ideas will not work. We've got to make the next decade India's decade of collaboration and a decade of implementation, and to enable both, within the next 2 years we've got to fix institutions.
Celebrating the stakeholders who have taken mammoth steps for India's inclusive growth agenda, ICICI Foundation and CNBC TV18 present the Inclusive India Awards this July in Mumbai.
Presenting partner ICICI Foundation. Knowledge partner Dasra. Print partner Entrepreneur, India's #1 magazine for business owners. Midday. And Governance Now.
Beat the headlines every morning. Get the best in business news at your fingertips. Stay ahead of the curve and power your business decisions. Subscribe to CNBC TV18's India Business Update today. Your daily edge on the mobile and online. SMS IBU to 51818 now.
ये है NASA's most ambitious project, Juno, the spacecraft on a 5-year mission to discover Jupiter's secrets. Juno's scientific payload includes specially designed, no cameras please, high-speed engines that will take it to Jupiter in just 1 year. Any questions?
Yes. कितना देती है?
For a country obsessed with mileage, Maruti Suzuki makes India's most fuel-efficient cars.
Welcome back. You're watching the Young Turks tutorial. We're in a masterclass with Sanjay Mehta, the man who brought Hard Rock Cafe to India. Let's head back to the Hard Rock Cafe in Bangalore as Sanjay dishes out his advice and his lessons on how to build a team and hire the right people.
So, Sanjay, you know, Chirag brought this point up earlier. He was talking about partnerships versus going it alone. Would you say there's a thumb rule as far as it's concerned?
No thumb rule whatsoever. It's a very personal kind of thing. Some people prefer partnerships because they need something from the partner. Partner brings some value to the table, whether it's monetary or whether they're good at something specific. However, I've had very bad experience with partnerships. I mean, and honestly, if I would advise anyone, no one really advises to do anything in partnership. It kind of ruins relationships. It could lead to all sorts of problems, and it's just not worth it. Your reputation is pretty much more important than everything else.
And what are the avenues that you look for when you're hiring? I mean, you post an ad on the newspaper or you get through referrals?
We tried all of that. Initially, when we were startups, we tried ads in the newspaper, references. We went out. I would sit at a bar, and if I liked somebody, I would, you know, and I'm very spontaneous like that. If I like you, I'm not going to say come and work for me, but I'm going to say here's my card, and if you're ever thinking of moving on, you know where to find me. And I've got lots of people who've come back. But you know, from the professional set, I'd say we went out, we contacted a couple of HR companies, recruiting agencies. We put out our requirements to them, and that's how we started.
So how easy is it to find these people? Or probably I should be asking you guys, you know, have you ever been looking out for people to hire? How easy has that process been?
We've actually struggled quite a bit. We haven't found the right kind of mix. I mean,
it's never an easy process, to be honest with you. It only gets easier when your brand gets the recognition,
right,
and people see that they're earning enough and that the quality of life with your brand is good.
You know, with us, I would give you a very simple example. The first person to join, even before the structure was made, was a security guard who would basically take care of the fact that at night nothing gets stolen because it was an open outdoor space and the main building didn't have a security guard. You'll be surprised, after 2 months he joined us as an assistant cook because he would otherwise cook for his 7 roomies, and our menu being that simple, he like, sir, we'll just wait. So today we do have the support systems in place. Like I agree with him, it is difficult picking new talent, but if your oldest staff is still with you, they are there to send the legacy out in the neighborhood.
And honestly, I agree with you. One of the things we do, which has been pretty successful in us recruiting people, is we have a referral system. So anybody in any of our teams across the country, and they know we're looking for people, if they get someone who joins us, they get incentivized as well. And plus, they're giving, you know, great reviews about us because You know, obviously they're working with us, and when they go out there and do that, and they're happy at the job, and they pull in people, it's even better for us.
How much of training normally would go into the process before you're able to take someone on?
Hard Rock, the first few outlets that we opened, they used to send down 20 people who would be in India for a month. I'm paying for their airfare, I'm paying their wages for that full month. And these are international staff based in the States and all these kind of places. I'm paying for their accommodation. And yeah, it's a very, very important part of our business.
But with smaller startups, I mean, spending on training would be overhead, and
it's a very different business model for you. But remember, you will need to train them. Now, whether you train them, whether you have a person coming in and training them, it's critical, because if they're not on the same page as you and they're not giving the customer the satisfaction that they require, then, you know, your startup is already halfway gone.
Welcome back. You're watching the Young Turks tutorial. We're in a conversation with Sanjay Mehtani of JSM Corporation. Join us now as he talks to us about the challenges of acquiring a license, and that is a tough one in this country. Also, how you can use social media to drive brand equity.
How much of word of mouth has contributed towards your success?
So much. I cannot even begin to tell you how much. You know, at the end of the day, I have to reach out to everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, if a customer comes into my outlet and, you know, as I said, I'm the guy who hides in the corner. You don't know who I am, but if a customer comes in and approaches me, I sit with them, I talk to them. I want to get to know them and the best I can, and I don't avoid them. But one thing is for sure, you're right about word of mouth, because I think with most of our brands, when you walk in, you feel it.
Yes.
Now, at a place like yours, or probably a smaller scale, say a startup, how important is service? What are the aspects that go into it? How do you manage it? How do you manage any negative publicity that's probably coming out of that service?
Service is everything, especially in my scale of a restaurant. I may not be so necessary in his. To a limitation, yes. Speed is important, etiquette is important, cleanliness, hygiene is important, okay? And the way the person talks to you is important. But you know, you'll have one interaction in his venue or in his venue with a member of staff. In ours, in one day, you may have 20 interactions with that same member of staff. So for us, it's that much more important. But for everyone, it is important.
Now, as far as permissions are concerned, as far as regulations are concerned, it probably in most cities in India is not at its best. You know, what are your views on that? How does a startup really handle these situations?
With a lot of patience, good connections, smile on your face no matter what happens, and keep your fingers crossed. I don't want to say more.
Yeah, for us, the biggest problem we had was the age. They're like, you know, we're like 22, 23 years old at that time. Like, what are you going to do? Like, and no one even like looks at you with it. No one gives you any respect. No one even looks at you. They're like, yeah, you're just a kid. You're not going to do anything. So they put you through a so much more harder time just because you're younger. But if I take someone older with me, let's say I take my dad or I take my uncle with me, it's a completely different scene.
Well, the fact is, they're giving you the respect now, right?
Now it's different, yeah. Now it is.
You know, I mean, it's like anything you do in the world.
Right.
The first few steps are a struggle, even when you're a baby, when you start to walk.
Yeah.
You know, it's painful, but once you get used to it, you can run. I know it's an exciting business. I know everybody wants to get into it. I'm sure that, you know, there's a lot of opportunity out there. I think one needs to really study it, believe in yourself, and then go after it.